But we can't hear anything.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started.
We're not going to talk now.
I'd like to welcome you to this public hearing of the New York City Rent Guidelines Board. This is the first of 5 public hearings to consider comments concerning proposed rent adjustments for renewal leases for apartments, lofts, hotels, and other housing units subject to the Rent Stabilization Law of 1969 and the Emergency Tenant Protection Act of 1974. These adjustments will affect renewal leases commencing between October 1, 2016 through September 30th, 2017. I will now take roll call. Please respond if present. Harvey Epstein? Present. Stephen Flax?
Present.
Shayla Garcia? Cecilia Hosa? Not here yet. Sabil Rahman?
Present.
Helen Chow? Not here. Mary Sarafi?
Present.
Scott Walsh?
Present.
And Kathleen Roberts, myself, here. Let the record show that we have a quorum. The next meeting of this board will be a public hearing on June 13th. In all, there will be 4 more public hearings to comment on the proposed guidelines. They will be held on the following dates, times, and locations. Monday, June 13th, St. Francis College, Founders Hall, 180 Remsen Street, Brooklyn, New York, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Thursday, June 16th, 2016, Bronx Museum of Art, 1040 Grand Concourse, Bronx, New York, from 5 to 8 p.m. Monday, June 20th, the Great Hall at Cooper Union, 7 East 7th Street, New York, New York, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And Tuesday, June 21st, 2016, Oberia B. Dempsey Multi-Service Center Auditorium, 127 West 127th Street, New York, New York, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And let the records show that Cecilia Hosa has joined us. Directions to these hearings can be found on our website, nycrgb.org. In the About Us section meeting schedule, you can sign up by calling the Rent Guidelines Board offices at 212-669-7480. And as always, there are copies of our meeting schedule here today in the hall outside. The final vote will take place on June 27th, starting at 6:30 p.m. It will be held in the Great Hall at Cooper Union, 7 East 7th Street, at the corner of 3rd Avenue in Manhattan. To board members, please note that drafts of both the hotel and apartment explanatory statements will be in your folders at the June 16th public hearing. We request your comments on or suggested additions to the statements no later than the morning of June 24th. Revised drafts will be sent to you via email by Wednesday, June 22nd, reflecting, this doesn't sound correct exactly, Andrew, but reflecting additions resulting from the public hearings. Any questions, please see Andrew. In your folder, you will also find copies of 3 RGB memos and the responses to RGB questions from the DHCR. These documents were distributed to the board members via email prior to this meeting. Before we begin our hearing, I would like to read some of the rules and parameters for those of you who are testifying before the board, and these rules will be translated after I read them in English. Each speaker will have 2 minutes to give his or her testimony. In the event that large numbers of people wish to speak, the chair reserves the right to reduce the allotted speaking time. The clock will beep once when the speaker has 30 seconds left. I will attempt to alternate speakers between tenants and owners, but this may not always be possible. Speakers must confirm their presence with the RGB staff at the registration table located near the entrance of the hall. Speakers will not be called if they have not checked in at the registration table. There are Spanish, Bengali, Hindi, and Korean interpreters here today. When registering to speak, please notify the staff if you would like an interpreter. I will try to call several names in advance. If your name is called, it is advisable that you move toward the front of the auditorium and the microphone. If you have materials to distribute to the board, you should give them to the RGB staff sitting at the sign-in table to the front of the auditorium. I'm sorry, you should give them to the RGB staff sitting at the sign-in table near the entrance. And we ask that you please try to stay within your allotted time so we can get through as many speakers as possible. At this time, I'd like to ask each of our interpreters, why don't we start with our Spanish interpreter, to read the rules, please.
Cada participante tendrá 2 minutos para proveer su testimonio. En el evento de que grandes números de personas quieran hablar, la presidenta reserva el derecho de reducir el tiempo asignado a cada persona. El reloj hará un sonido cuando falten 30 segundos para que la persona hablando tenga que detenerse. La presidenta tratará de llamar varias personas a la vez. Tratará de llamar inquilinos y dueños de casa, pero esto puede que no sea posible todo el tiempo. Cada persona que quiera participar deberá confirmar su presencia con el personal de guías de arriendo al frente en la mesa de registración. Las personas que quieran intervenir no se les llamará si no han revisado que su nombre esté en la mesa de registración. Cuando se registren para hablar, por favor notifíquele al personal si necesitará un intérprete. La presidenta también tratará de llamar varios nombres a la vez. Si su nombre es llamado, se le recomienda que se mueva hacia el frente del auditorio. Si tiene materiales para distribuirle a la junta directiva, deberá entregárselos al personal al personal organizando el evento, sentados en la mesa de la entrada. La Junta también le pide que por favor se mantenga dentro de la cantidad de tiempo asignado para que podamos tener la mayoría de personas interviniendo posibles.
Thank you, and could we go next to Bengali, please?
এনওয়াইসি রেন্ট গাইডেন্স বোর্ডের গণশুনানিতে চেয়ারের পক্ষ থেকে স্বাগতম। এটি 5টি গণশুনানির প্রথমটি, যেটি 1969 সালের রেন্ট স্টেবল আইন এবং টেনেন্ট প্রোটেকশন আইন 1974 সালের ভিত্তিতে যে প্রস্তাবিত যে ভাড়া সমন্বয় করা হবে সে বিষয়ে মন্তব্যের জন্য। এই সমন্বয়টি কার্যকারী হবে অক্টোবর 1, 2016 থেকে সেপ্টেম্বর 30, 2017 পর্যন্ত। এই শুনানি শুরুর আগে আমি কিছু নিয়মকানুন বলতে চাচ্ছি যারা এই বোর্ডের সামনে বক্তব্য পেশ করবেন। প্রতি বক্তা 2 মিনিট করে সময় পাবেন। যদি অনেক বেশি সংখ্যক বক্তা কথা বলতে চান তাহলে চেয়ার ওনাদের সময় দেওয়ার জন্য ওনার কম বেশি করার অধিকার রাখেন এবং সময় শেষ হওয়ার 30 সেকেন্ড আগে ঘড়িতে বিপ দেওয়া হবে যে আপনার সময় শেষ হয়ে আসছে। এবং চেয়ার এখানে চেষ্টা করবেন যে ভাড়াটিয়া এবং বাড়ির মালিকদের মধ্যে অল্টারনেটিভ করার জন্য। এটা সম্ভবত সবসময় নাও করা সম্ভব হতে পারে। আর যারা এখানে কথা বলতে চান তারা আমাদের এই আরবিজির যারা স্টাফ আছেন সামনে, তাদের যারা প্রবেশপথে বসেছিলেন তাদের কাছে জানাতে হবে। যেসব বক্তা তাদের নাম ওখানে রেজিস্টার করে নেই তাদেরকে ডাকা হবে না। আর যখন আপনি ওখানে নাম রেজিস্টার করবেন তখন বলবেন যে আপনার দোভাষী সেবা লাগবে কি লাগবে না। চেয়ার চেষ্টা করবেন যে একসাথে কয়েকজনের নাম আগাম ডেকে রাখতে। আর আপনার নাম যখন ডাকা হবে তখন আপনি সামনের অডিয়েন্সের সামনের দিকে, অডিটোরিয়ামের সামনের দিকে আগে আসবেন। আপনি যদি বক্তব্যের জন্য কোনো ম্যাটেরিয়ালস বা কোনো কিছু দিতে চান তাহলে আরবিজির যেসব স্টাফ সামনে বসে আছেন সাইনিং টেবিলে তাদের কাছে দিয়ে দিবেন ওটা বিলি করার জন্য। আর বোর্ডের পক্ষ থেকে আপনাদের অনুরোধ করতেছেন যে আপনাদের জন্য যেটা সময় বরাদ্দ আছে সেই সময়ের মধ্যে আপনারা থাকবেন। যাতে করে আমরা যত বেশি সম্ভব যত বেশি সংখ্যক বক্তার বক্তব্য শুনতে পারি ততই ভালো। ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you. Can we go next to the Hindi interpreter, please?
अध्यक्ष जी, आप सभी का स्वागत करते हैं न्यूयॉर्क शहर किराए दिशा निर्देश मंडल के सार्वजनिक सुनवाई में। ये 5 सार्वजनिक सुनवाइयों में से पहली है जो आपके टिप्पणियों को ध्यान में रखते हुए आपके घर तथा अन्य आवास इकाइयों के प्रस्तावित किरायों के समायोजन के बारे में हैं जो पट्टों के नवीकरण के लिए किया जाएगा। ये किराया स्थिरीकरण नियम 1969 के और 1974 के आपातकालीन किराएदार सुरक्षा अधिनियम के मुताबिक किया जाएगा। ये समायोजन उन पट्टों के नवीकरण को प्रभावित करेंगे जो अक्टूबर 1, 2016 और सितंबर 30, 2017 के बीच में शुरू होंगे। सुनवाई शुरू करने से पहले मैं उन वक्ताओं को कुछ नियम और परिधियों के बारे में ज्ञात करवाना चाहूँगी जो आज मंडल के सामने गवाही देंगे। हर वक्ता को 2 मिनट दिया जाएगा गवाही देने के लिए। अगर काफ़ी तादाद में लोग यहाँ गवाही देना चाहते हैं तो अध्यक्ष जी को हक बनता है कि वो गवाही का वक्त कम करें। गवाही में जब 30 सेकंड बचेंगे तब घड़ी पे आवाज़ आएगी। अध्यक्ष जी कोशिश करेंगे कि बारी बारी से वक्ता किराएदार और मकान मालिक, लेकिन ये हमेशा शायद मुमकिन ना हो कि सबको हर वक्त बारी मिले। वक्ताओं को अपनी उपस्थिति का पुष्टिकरण RGB के कर्मचारी जो सामने प्रवेश द्वार पे बैठे हैं उनके रजिस्ट्रेशन टेबल पे अपना नाम मौजूद करवाएं। वक्ताओं के नाम नहीं बुलाए जाएंगे अगर उन्होंने रजिस्ट्रेशन टेबल पे अपना नाम नहीं दिया हो। वक्ता के तौर पे पुष्टिकरण करते समय कृपया कर्मचारियों को सूचित करें कि आपको हिंदी दुभाषी की ज़रूरत है। अध्यक्ष जी अनेक नाम पहले ही बुलाने की कोशिश करेंगे। अगर आपका नाम बुलाया जाएगा कृपया करके आप सामने आके बैठ जाइए ऑडिटोरियम के। अगर आपके पास मंडल को देने के लिए कागजात हैं तो आप RGB कर्मचारी जो सामने बैठे हैं आगे उनके पास दे दीजिए। नमस्ते।
Thank you. And to the Korean interpreter, please.
오늘 이 위원장은 뉴욕시 임대료 가이드라인 위원회 공청회에 오신 여러분을 환영합니다. 이 공청회는 5회로 예정이 잡혀 있는 것 중에 하나입니다. 이 공청회를 통해서 여러분의 의견을 듣고자 합니다. 이 공청회에서는 1963년에 69년에 제정된 임대료 안정화법 그리고 1974년에 제정된 긴급 세입자 보호법에 준해서 아파트, 호텔 그리고 또 기타 주거시설에서의 그런 임대료에 관한 조정 사항을 오늘 이야기하게 됩니다. 여러분이 이것은 이제 리스를 갱신할 때 해당이 되겠습니다. 그리고 이러한 조정은 2016년 10월 1일부터 2017년 9월 30일 사이에 시작되는 리스 갱신에 적용이 됩니다. 오늘 공청회를 시작하기 전에 여러분이 말씀하실 때 지켜야 될 몇 가지 규칙을 말씀드리겠습니다. 오늘 말씀하실 분들은 그 말씀하신 시간이 2분으로 제한됩니다. 그래서 30분 전에 비퍼가 삐 하는 소리를 울리게 됩니다. 그 위원장은 많은 사람들이 이야기를 할 수 있도록 그런 시간을 이야기하는 시간을 제한할 수 있습니다. 그리고 세입자와 임대주 간에 이렇게 서로 번갈아 가면서 가능하면 이야기하도록 할 것이지만 그게 그렇게 진행되지 않을 수도 있습니다. 오늘 이야기하실 분들은 밖에 있는 등록 테이블에서 오늘 여기 오셨다는 것을 등록을 하셔야지 그 여러분의 이름을 불러서 말씀을 하실 수가 있습니다. 여러분이 알려주시지 않으면 여러분의 이름을 부를 수가 없고요. 또 혹시 통역사가 필요하신 분은 직원들에게 알려주시면 통역사가 도와드립니다. 그리고 이 위원장이 여러분의 이름을 부르면 그분은 호명되는 분은 앞으로 나와주시기 바랍니다. 그리고 이 위원회에게 보드에게 이렇게 나눠줄 자료가 있으신 분들은 등록하실 때 직원에게 주시기 바랍니다. 우리 위원회는 여러분들이 말씀하실 때 정해진 시간을 지켜주실 것을 다시 한번 당부드립니다.
Thank you. We'll now begin the public testimony. I'm going to read off the names of the first three speakers: James Jones, Marios Kothalis, and Regina Shanley. Mr. Jones, would you step up?
Here?
Yes, please.
How much time we have?
You have 2 minutes, sir.
Corporation Counsel, 100 Church, New York, also advised they have independent methods of tracking their money in the hands of a developer. Independent methods. Methods not necessarily visible to the public. Corporation Counsel, their representative, knocked on all tenant doors at this location. 30 professional units. Advice tenants, developer had been marshaled from property due to pocketing $200,000 Corporation Counsel money. Developer run to Chinaman bankruptcy director officer. Push Chinaman bankruptcy director down in rear closet. Alleged to bankruptcy director, 30 tenant vote him back. Fact, senior tenant marshal developer of property twice through 111 Center Street. Corporation Counsel introduced Mr. Reed as building administrator. The census count would show more Caucasian or white living in Central Harlem than Chinaman bankruptcy director. This niggly developer show up after Esther Sheckman, Caucasian white woman, crashed tenant meeting in lobby unannounced, shouting she owned building. Esther Sheckman confronted by black woman church leader. Tenant Esther Sheckman sell building.
Mr. Jones, your time is up. Could you wrap it up, please?
Esther Sheckman sell building to her porter the following week.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Marios Kothalis, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Mario Cathalis. I'm a real estate broker and property manager. In total, I manage over 100 apartments for myself and my clients. The proposed 1- and 2-year renewal lease percentage increases should not rely heavily on last year's winter costs or the winter bills. The cost to provide and maintain quality housing are rising including all other major expenses. A court precedent was set when New York City landlords sued the Water Board over their continuous annual rate increases. No wonder, with water costs doubling over the past 10 years. Mayor de Blasio's proposed one-time water bill credit of $183 is insulting. New York City landlords pay the highest property taxes in the country. 5 years ago, my real estate taxes were $15,000. Last year's amount was over $22,000. Forbes magazine mentioned that we are paying the highest utility costs of all the mid-Atlantic states. My gas and electric bills 5 years ago were $3,400. Last year, they were $5,100. Since 2010, landlords have been responsible to pay the cost of this epidemic of bed bugs in New York City. In accordance with Northeastern exterminators in Brooklyn, 73% of their annual income comes from treatment of bed bugs in residential buildings. That's up from 30% from 3 years ago. Where will the percentage be 3 years from now? According to the law, landlords and property owners need to file annual RPI forms. Are these forms being reviewed? If so, why is the Rent Guidelines Board proposing a second year of rent freezes? Insurance, legal costs, repairs, renovations, just to mention a few, go up each year. The cost of living index increases annually. Why is it that you feel you should be freezing rents again? In closing, I urge you to help us to continue providing quality housing by giving us a percentage increase for one-year increases, for one-year renewals. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker, Regina Shanley. Good evening, Ms. Shanley.
Good evening. My name is Regina Shanley. I'm a rent-stabilized tenant in Sunnyside, Woodside area of Queens.
Can you stop for just one moment, please? Let us get you some help getting the mic so we can hear you.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Thank you. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, my name's
Closer to the mic.
My name's Regina Shanley. I'm a rent-stabilized tenant in Sunnyside, Woodside. Thank you for coming again to Queens. I've testified before about the difficulty my neighbors and I have in paying rent and living in apartments with leaks and rodents and bed bugs and other unresolved issues, so this time I'll just tell my story. When I first rented an apartment, it was a rent-controlled studio, and I was paying a quarter to a third of my income for it. Years later, when I decided to move, all I could afford, or what I could afford, was a rent-stabilized apartment. It was about 3 times the rent I had been paying, but I could still pay even though it was more than a third of my income in rent. I managed to pay. Then I got sick and things changed. I had to stop working. I was on disability and then on welfare and then Social Security disability and now Social Security. None of these programs give as much money as if you're working full-time. They don't give you increases in money. Rent keeps going up every year or every other year. Currently, I receive food stamps, Medicaid, and Medicare, and thanks to tenants and neighbors and other organizations, DREE. My actual rent is approximately $780. With DREE, I pay about $520, I'm sorry. While I do realize this rent is not very high for the neighborhood and the times, I'm still paying more than 50% of my income in rent. My Social Security and only income is $905 a month. I still pay more than 50% of my income in rent. I also pay for my Medicaid, my phone, and my gas and electric. Many people, especially women of my age and on Social Security, are in the same situation. Women having classically either raised their families or working in low-paying jobs. Most of them are embarrassed to speak about it. Families, even with 2 working parents, are struggling to pay rent. I know the people who are young adults are not able to find apartments because they can't afford it. The Rent Guidelines Board can help by voting either for another freeze or even better and more importantly for a rollback. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shanley. All right, the next 3 speakers will be Chris Vitale, Rochelle Rahman, and Adam Sabella. So let's start with Chris Vitale, please.
I guess so, right? Not used to speaking for online. Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Vitale.
Sorry. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. These are the luxury and the new and future luxury apartments and condos of Queens. I can guarantee you that tonight, none of the owners of these buildings are going to speak here. These are the rent-stabilized buildings of Queens. These are the buildings that give our borough its true character. These buildings are a little bit older. That building right there, that's the building that I manage, and I'm proud to manage that building. This one my grandpa put up 60 years ago in 1956. I want to maintain this family business, and in order for me to do that, I have to maintain this building. Rent-stabilized buildings are old. They need to be worked on constantly. It is a constant battle of work that we have to do. Busted drain pipes, steam pipes. I got compactor chute doors. Unfortunately, some tenants don't take very good care of their apartments. We have to constantly fix all this type of stuff. It is a constant battle. We provide work for plumbers, electricians, roofers, and a bunch of other services that most people don't even realize exist. Our buildings are the worst culprits of greenhouse gases in this city. That is from the Greater Greener Building Program. This is the reason why. We have boilers that are old and inefficient. I want to replace this boiler. It's going to cost me $400,000 to replace it. That is not cheap. In order for me to do that, I can then be able to burn clean natural gas. Global warming is not a hoax. I actually want to replace this beast. The city gets to raise taxes when its infrastructure is crumbling. The city raises the water bills to keep us having clean water, and the water bills get higher and higher. The tenants don't unfortunately see these rising costs. I'm a building owner. I just don't want our buildings to crumble away so that they can all end up being replaced by these ones. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chair, can I ask a quick question to this?
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate you wanting to improve the greenhouse gases. I'm wondering, have you looked at like weatherization programs or HPD loan programs or other programs that are available that will help you upgrade the system work in your building? 8A loans, participatory loan program loans?
I haven't unfortunately got to just look at the loan programs. I have looked at the Con Ed MFP. I have looked at the National Grid programs. They do offer incentives. They don't cover, these are still incredibly expensive projects. Even the loans, they do have to be paid back. They are expensive. And LED, I want to do LED replacements, another major cost, and even roof. I mean, ultimately, I would love to replace my roof. And with that, you get increased roof insulation, which is another huge loss of heat in the building and another energy efficient thing that's being encouraged. And I would like to do some of these.
Yeah, I would just encourage you to look at the NYSERDA weatherization program.
There's no more money in NYSERDA
and
right now.
look at HPD has a few new loan programs available.
Okay, I'll look at the HPD program. But NYSERDA, they actually, there was a NYSERDA program that unfortunately they don't have any more money right now, and they are encouraging us to put in these massive heating electronic units now. That's where the money is going for that, but that's a monster that I can't put in. So, thank you.
Any other questions for this individual? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Rochelle Roman?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Rasul Rahman. I'm the tenant and also work at Chaya CDC. We're a tenant organizing organization. Thank you, board, for coming here, Queens, and listening us. I think this is the only time in the year we can say what we want to say, and nowhere else we can go and tell our story, our experience. So I live in rent-stabilized apartment in Jackson Heights. I moved there in 2013, around March. And from 2013 March until today, 2016 June, as of now, my family size increased double from 2 to 4. I have a new baby, is a 2-year-old baby. My mom came here, and then rent increase is $177 from $1,300 including MCA rent increase and regular rent increase. So I didn't know before I moved there that there was a MCA rent increase pending. So it's like, there are many ways that landlord use increasing their rent, and like now they've been trying using all other techniques, because they know that last year, because of the 0% rent increase, now there are like legal rent versus preferential rent. So there are like many tenants in our building, their legal rent is maybe $2,000, $2,200, and they increase like 6%, 7% without they didn't know about that the legal rent versus preferential rent, that big gap. So what I'm trying to say, every year, last 40 years, rent guideline board made decision increasing and increasing. So now is the time, I think, we need to look at that, how much really income increase. There is no big significant increase in my people's income, tenants' income. There's all other expenses, food and all other expenses increase hugely. So we need to think about it, and I think we should go back and roll back rent next 8 years, not just these years, next 8 years, then probably we'll be in some point. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam Sabella?
Good evening, and thank you for your time. My name is Adam Sabella. My partners and I own 168 units in Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan. Let's get to it. My fuel costs are down 10% year over year. My real estate taxes are up 16% year over year. My other expenses change nominally year over year. The bottom line is my total operating expenses are up 2% over the prior year. It is my view that the board has overstated the effect of recent fuel savings on total operating expenses. But there's another critical component of this analysis that the board continues to overlook, and that is the effect of capital expenditures on cash flow. Every year, owners incur major expenses that are capitalized instead of being deducted in full as an operating expense. These costs are often substantial, and many times they are a surprise. For example, recently we had to replace waste lines in one of our basements at a cost of $11,000. In a 30-unit building, that's a material cost. So what I am suggesting is that if you looked at any building over, say, a 10-year period and quantified these surprise capital expenditures, you would understand that our real operating expenses are more substantial than your analysis concludes. And not all these expenditures are eligible for MCIs. To take this concept even further, let's talk about planned capital expenditures. As proud owners, we try to be proactive about keeping our buildings clean, safe, and attractive. To do this, each year, we voluntarily reinvest a portion of our profit back into the building for things like cosmetic hallway renovations. However, given the 1% rent increase in 2014 and the rent freeze in 2015, we have found our cash flow to be under pressure. We therefore recently postponed a hallway renovation previously budgeted for 2016. This is important. The RGB, the public, and the mayor all need to understand. The reality here is that we're going to continue to see more and more owners postpone meaningful improvements to their properties if they are denied the tools, mainly reasonable rent increases, to make such improvements. These are old buildings, they cost real money to run, and we need to recognize that. And we cannot have a third year of rent freeze or minimal rent increase. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi. Thank you for your testimony. How many units of rent-stabilized buildings do you manage and own?
5.
5? How
5
many?
buildings, 168 units.
All of them are rent-stabilized?
About 75% are rent stabilized.
And do they pay the legal amount of rent that you can charge?
Of the 75% that are rent regulated, probably 90% of those pay the full legal rent, yes.
And have you been able to take advantage of MCIs and other,
we have.
to be able to make some of them?
We absolutely have taken advantage of MCIs. we do the improvements, we spend $200,000 on a boiler, and then 14 months later, the DHCR approves the MCI, the amortization period is extended, as you know. So yes, we do take advantage of those programs, but there are many expenditures that are below the line that we are unable to take advantage of. And it's just an expense that we have to eat, and we're happy to do it. Let me be clear, we're happy to do it because we're extremely proud of what we do, what we own. And I want my tenants to have good services and a good building to live in, but I can't do it without some sort of reasonable rent increase.
Other questions for this witness? Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. The next three speakers will be Yagpreet Singh, Louis Barbanel, and Muslim Udin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jagpreet Singh, and I'm a community organizer at Chaya CDC. As a community organizer, I spend most of my time counseling and organizing tenants of Queens to ensure that they're aware of their rights and protections, regardless of their immigration status or English proficiency, and to assist them in the collective use of action to secure their rights. Every day, tenants come into my office who are at the end of their lines. Simply put, they're being priced out of the neighborhoods that they lived in their entire lives. Neighborhoods they have been working in, that they've established roots in, where they gather with other members of their communities to celebrate events and pray, neighborhoods where their kids grew up and are trying to live the American dream, the same dream that's at threat due to rising rents. Last year's 0% increase was historic. There is no question in that. However, that was not the reality for many tenants who continue to face rent increases in spite of it, due to things like preferential rent, vacancy clauses, IAIs, major capital improvements, and similar loopholes. Tenants saw their rent increase despite the 0%. A few months ago, I counseled a client who had just gone through a period of domestic abuse and had enough courage to leave her husband. Due to the increase in the overall income, she could not afford her rent. When the lease renewal came around, she realized it would be now impossible to maintain her residence. She had no choice but to go back to Pakistan, her country of origin, to live with her family, while desperately trying to find shelter in Queens so that her daughters could go back to school here. Similarly, there was another tenant who was originally from Bangladesh but now lives in Jamaica. He's seen his rent increase $400 due to the preferential loophole for 1 year. This gentleman is the only breadwinner with 2 children under 10 years of age. He doesn't know where to turn or where he'll go. According to a report released by the Pratt Center, immigrants have the highest rent burden in New York City. A study we did found that immigrant tenants in Queens pay an average 51% of their income towards rent. For every dollar the rent goes up, that's another meal the family has to sacrifice, another piece of clothing that the children have to forego, and another goal that will remain unattainable. In this hearing today, I urge the board to roll back the rent and help the tenants of this great city. I request that the board support the efforts of organizations like ours while working tirelessly to educate tenants. These efforts can only go so far if the rents continue to climb. This city was built on immigrant labor, and immigrants continue to be the organic fabric of our borough, our city, and our nation. It is critical for us to do whatever we can to keep these communities together. Thank you.
Thank you. Louis Barbanel, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity to speak. My name is Louis Barbanel. I am the president of Barbary Rose Management Company. We manage about 700 apartments, Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan, all in the affordable housing sector. Rent guidelines should be about providing affordable housing. The best way to provide affordable housing is to meet the demand. Supply must meet demand. On average, since 2011, 30,000 new people moved to the city of New York. And these are hardworking people who moved to the middle-class neighborhoods of Brooklyn, Queens, and northern Manhattan. There are 2 ways to increase the supply to meet this demand. One is external and one is internal. External will be construction. However, of the 10,000 new units on average built in the last 7 years, a majority of them are condominiums, very, very expensive, do not meet the needs of the people moving to the city of New York who are hardworking. The internal growth comes from natural attrition. In any given city, you'll have people get married, move into an apartment, raise their children, and as the children grow up and move on to college and graduate, they downsize to a smaller apartment. In New York City, due to the fact that you have extremely low renewal increases, the rents remain artificially low. So for example, if a family moved into a 3-bedroom apartment in Washington Heights 20 years ago, paying $1,200 a month, after that 20 years with the extremely low increases we've seen, they'd be paying approximately $1,600. That apartment is worth $3,000. But it's really not worth $3,000 because of all the people with their artificial rents. The new tenants are paying the rent of the old tenants. Strangely enough, this board is actually strangling supply by giving 0% increases and having artificially low rents. So we asked the board to give a 4% and 8% increase for renewals. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for this speaker? All right, let's go to Muslim Udim. Can we help this individual out with a Bengali interpreter, please?
বোর্ডকে ধন্যবাদ। আমি একজন বাংলাদেশি, আমি জামাইকায় থাকি, আমার কোনো ইনকাম নাই। আমি যে বাসাটাতে থাকি ভাড়া অনেক বাড়ি, প্রত্যেক বারে সেই বাসা ভাড়া বাড়ায়। বাসাটা কোনো রিপেয়ার, অ্যাপার্টমেন্টটা কোনো রিপেয়ার করে না তারা ঠিক মতো।
Okay, let's take a pause for the interpreter.
আমি একটু বলে নিই আপনাকে। Thank you, board, for giving me the opportunity. I am the.
Could you step to the mic, please? Thank you.
Oh, thank you, board, giving me the opportunity. I'm the Bangladeshi. I live in Jamaica, and I live in Jamaica in the apartment, and the rent is really high, and every time it increases the rent, but they are not repairing the apartment at all.
আমার মেইনলি আমি যাতে ভাড়াটা কম দেওয়া হয় সেই জন্য আমি বোর্ডের কাছে সাহায্য প্রার্থনা করি।
Mainly I'm requesting the board so that I can, my rent will not increase, and I will give the rent, the low rent, not the increased one. That's why I'm asking help from the board.
ধন্যবাদ বোর্ডকে।
Thank you, board.
Thank you. We need to move on to make sure that we get to all the speakers. The next 3 speakers will be Melly Wong, Kenny Schaefer, and Sally Wong.
How do we lower this?
Someone will be there to help you in just a moment.
Okay, thank you. Your actions last year of a 0% rent increase drove a lot of the mom and pop small building owners out of the market. As a small building owner, we don't have the resources as the big building owners. We don't have the staff on hand to help us easily fix and improve our properties. We don't have the luxury of economy of scale where we can purchase stuff and services at a discount. We don't have access to cheap capital. That said, we rely on the rents we collect to roll it back into our buildings. For me, a 0% increase means I don't have the excess to reinvest into my building, and I have to tap into my savings. These days, it ain't much to make emergency repairs. Many mom and pop small building owners saved, skimped, and sacrificed to buy their buildings. We provide many of the below market affordable homes for New Yorkers. There have been a lot of ups and downs years. Yet we've stuck it through, paid our taxes, kept our neighborhoods afloat, and gave New Yorkers a place to live. I think in all the madness, the mom and pop building owners are forgotten and are being pushed aside. Many are being pushed out because we can't keep up with the expenses and the crazy regulations that are a part of this new world. The divide between landlord and tenants appears to have widened. It shouldn't be like this. Just as we need good tenants, society needs good landlords. Landlords who are willing to stay with their communities through the good times and the bad. I encourage you to consider the plight of the small building owners and consider how your actions impact the current and future small business owners, small building owners. I urge you to give the mom and pops a fair increase. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, can I just ask a couple quick questions so I know? So how many apartments do you own?
6.
It's one building?
Yes.
And they're all rent stabilized?
Yes.
Great. And are they all paying market rents, or are they paying preferential rents?
No, below. My tenants have been there for a long time.
So none of them, so they're all at the legally regulated rent?
Legal and regular rent, but
Right.
well
And have you-
below market.
Have you looked at HPD programs to help you with affordability in your building?
I've looked into it, but I don't have the time. There's a lot of regulations, and, to get like $10 or whatever, it's just the regulations and the paperwork is horrendous.
Okay.
It's hard for the
Thank you.
small building owners. Thank you.
Thank you. Kenny Schaefer.
Good evening. My name is Kenny Schaefer, and I'm co-chair of Met Council on Housing, New York Citywide Tenant Union. Jack Freund of the Rent Destabilization Association said at the invited testimony on April 21 that you should look beyond the numbers for obvious reasons, and I'll do that in a minute, but first let's look at the numbers. And what do we see? It depends where you look. On the tenant side, there is record hardship and homelessness, in large part because the RGB has failed to perform its mission of protecting tenants from, quote, unjust, unreasonable, and oppressive rents, but instead has raised rents year after year, decade after decade, until now a majority of all tenants, poor and middle class alike, are paying well over the federal hardship level, and hundreds of thousands of low-income tenants are paying 70% or more. Tens of thousands are homeless. And when we look at the landlord's numbers, they are enjoying record profits at the obscene level of almost 40% of every rent dollar. Open the 2016 income and expense study to the first page, and there's a box labeled, "What's new?" The answer, net operating income is up for the 10th straight year. That's only new because last year it had only gone up for 9 straight years. Yet they plead poverty and demand even greater profits. Most of the landlord's arguments could be answered in 3 words: open the books. The rest in 2 words: hardship application. If there are any owners of rent-stabilized buildings who truly aren't making a fair profit, they can apply to DHCR to get an additional rent increase. The RGB doesn't have to raise rents on 1 million families, protect these few theoretical losers. In 1997 and again in 2003, the state legislature drastically weakened rent and eviction protections, causing a sharp escalation of rents and the deregulation, lawful or otherwise, of hundreds of thousands of apartments. But even by 1997, rents were already inflated by 2 decades of unwarranted rent increases. That year, the Public Advocate's Office issued a study available on the RGB website under other research, showing that due to faulty methodology, the RGB had increased rents 37% higher than would have been warranted, even assuming that the purpose of the RGB is to maintain landlord profits. But that's not why the 1969 rent stabilization law was passed, which created the RGB. It was passed because landlords were already doing too well, because the lack of equal bargaining power between tenants and landlords had caused, quote, a serious public emergency, and that preventive action continues to be imperative in order to prevent exactions of unjust, unreasonable, and oppressive rents, and to forestall profiteering, speculation, and other disruptive practices tending to produce threats to the public health, safety, and general welfare. That's what the rent stabilization law that creates this board does. Sad to say, whether we look at or beyond the numbers, it's clear that after 45 years of unwarranted rent increases, those threats have become reality for millions of New Yorkers living in stabilized apartments. It's time to undo the damage with a substantial rollback.
Thank you. Sally Wang.
I just want to add, I left 10 copies of my testimony with the staff.
Thank you.
I think this has to be lowered a little bit, not as tall as him.
We're getting someone to help you. Hold on 1 minute.
Thank you. Oh, that's it. I could have done that. All right. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Oh, that's better. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our concerns. I like to refer to myself as a small property owner, as the word landlord invokes an image of a greedy, rich individual who cares only about collecting the rent. This is neither me nor many of the other small property owners that I am familiar with. Most of us live on the property and do not have a superintendent that we can call to fix leaking faucets, unclog sinks and toilets, shovel snow, clean and sweep the front, sort all the recyclables, it's on a weekly basis too, take the garbage to the curb, handle middle of the night emergency cases. We manage these properties by ourselves and only call the professionals when we know we cannot fix the problem. I feel because we are so hands-on, many of us have formed a good relationship with our tenants rather than an adversary one. Tenants and small property owners are facing the same hardships, from not earning enough to pay the bills to constantly worrying about the ever-increasing cost of living in New York. At the end of the day, each needs the other to survive. We need tenants to sustain our building. Tenants need us to have a decent place to live. So what am I asking for in the 2 minutes I have? I am asking that your decision not be based on who makes the most noise, but to find a middle ground, as a 6% increase for a one-year lease is not fair to the tenant. Listen, I'm saying it's not fair to the tenant, and a 0 to 1 increase is not fair to small property owners. If neither the tenant nor the property owners is truly happy with your decision, then you have done your job well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to announce the next 3 speakers: Ana Rivera, Vernetta Nelson, and Leticia Pazmino.
I'm here with Catholic Migration. My name is Ana Rivera. I live at 6115 43rd Avenue in Woodside. I am in one of the buildings of Napacus Realty. Paying all of my Social Security and stipend and rent, which offsets my living. MCI's windows, elevator, boilers, air conditioner, and laundry all in my lease, but I pay for my laundry. And this has been a long-standing battle for 15 years. Slow repairs, no notice is posted, apartment improvements break from one apartment through the other, hallways are stripped and walls, and health hazards. I had an accident recently on the stairway, front door security and back door no locks, no heat on very cold days, 4 times this year, bum slip on the hallways, and I would like to live in a quality of life and not a bigger bank for some of the landlords, and I thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you. Vernetta Nelson.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
I would like to ask a question of everyone in this room. Those who are tenants, those who are landlords. Who in this room would like to receive less in pay and monies than they did last year, this year? No one is saying, yes, I want that. That's the reality. Landlords have the same cost of living that tenants do. When rents go up, we all have to suffer. When I say that, I mean the cost of rent, of maintaining a building and giving quality, a place of quality for people to live costs the landlord money. I'm a small landlord. I have rents 900, just 1,000. My taxes have gone up. Water is going up 2% more, double digits, over 20%. A loaf of bread costs as much for me as it does for you. All of the repairs cost more money. Materials for repairs cost more money. Labor costs more money. Some of the repairs are not even necessary. Some of them are done because of the negligence of tenants, and some of them are because the building needs to be repaired. We have to be fair. I like what the other landlord said. It has to be fair. Landlords cannot be the remedy for what is happening to those who can't afford to pay their rents. If you want to help them, help us too. If you want to see our rent rolls go back, roll back our taxes. Roll back the cost the burdens that we have in maintaining the quality. I don't have one violation in my buildings. I'll be glad to give you the addresses and everything. I only have 2 properties that have control, that have stabilization and so forth. And it is a problem. It is a serious problem for the landlord because we don't get market rents. So the market rents that the tenants are complaining about are not coming from stabilized apartments. They're not. They're coming from the community, from developers who pay a lot of money for the properties that they buy, and they have to charge high rents in order to get in order to retain and keep their building and get a profit. The guideline boards, what they're saying is that all of the increases that you've given us over the years were not legitimate. They were legitimate. You did your research, board. You came up with a 4% increase or 5% or 2% or 1% based on the statistics and study that you did. And now you want to take that back? No, that's not fair. It's not fair. I'm asking you to be fair in this. Fair to the tenants and fair to the landlords.
Thank you. Leticia Pazmino, and I believe we need a Spanish interpreter for Ms. Pazmino.
Gracias. Yo voy a tomar un par de notas. Es cuando levante la mano. Buenas noches a todos. Gracias por permitirme expresarme. Mi nombre es Leticia Pazmiño y soy coorganizadora de Inquilinos se hace camino a Nueva York. Estoy aterrada por lo que está sucediendo en nuestra área con nuestra comunidad aquí en Jackson Heights, Queens, donde yo vivo hace más de 40 años. Con mi familia, este apartamento ha sido de la familia Pazmiño.
Okay, let me interrupt you for just a moment and let's hear the interpretation, please.
Good evening. Thank you for listening. My name is Leticia Pazmiño, and I'm a co-organizer at Make the Road New York. I am terrified by what's happening in our community. I have been a tenant and I'm a community member in Jackson Heights for more than 40 years. Our family owns our apartment has belonged to the Pazmiño family.
Necesitamos reducción de renta porque los salarios mínimos no alcanzan para pagar nuestros alquileres con altos precios, ya que se pagan más del 30% del salario mínimo que nosotros trabajamos. Por ejemplo, como el vecino del tercer piso de mi edificio acabó de dejar el apartamento y le subieron el doble. Yo estoy aterrada, a mi edad, poder conseguir trabajo algo más fuerte, porque con un part-time no puedo sobrevivir.
Okay, let's hear the interpretation, please. Thank you.
We need a rent reduction because our minimum wages are not enough to pay rent. We're paying more than 30% what we are making. Like my neighbor on the third floor, he moved out and his apartment rent was raised to twice the amount. I am terrified. At my age, it is not easy to find harder work when part-time work is not enough.
Pido por favor tomar conciencia en este asunto de rentas, porque el salario no nos alcanza ni siquiera para completar nuestra renta, porque aparte tenemos que pagar nuestros biles como luz, gas, teléfonos y las emergencias que tenemos, aparte del transporte, el vestido, la comida, para nuestros hijos no es suficiente.
I ask that you develop consciousness around this rent issue because our salaries are not enough. We have to pay rent, we also have to pay bills like light, our phones, gas, emergency expenses, our clothing, our transportation, and take care of our children, and that is not enough.
Yo agradezco a todos en nombre de mi comunidad de Jackson Heights, por favor tener conciencia y poder tratar de subir quizás los salarios para poder pagar una renta justa, si quieren una renta más alta. Por eso pido, rent go back, rent go back.
I thank you for listening on behalf of my community of Jackson Heights and hope that you develop a consciousness around rent. And if you want to raise rent, salaries need to get raised as well. But that's why I'm asking for a rent rollback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rent go back. Rent go back.
All right, the next three speakers, all of whom will need the Spanish interpreter, are Marta Davila, Marta Morales, and Francis Herrera.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Marta Dávila y soy miembro de Se Hace Camino Nueva York. Estoy aquí para hablar como madre y como inquilina y sobre las necesidades de la comunidad migrante.
Good evening, my name is Marta Davila. I'm a member of Make the Road New York, and I am here to talk about, as a tenant about the needs of my community, my immigrant community.
Yo vivo por muchos años en Elmhurst, Queens, y en este momento el 50% de mi pago se va para pagar la renta. Eso no es posible para mí mantener mi familia, ya que soy el único soporte en mi familia. Veo también de que nosotros en la ciudad de Nueva York pagamos una de las rentas más altas de toda la nación.
I live in Elmhurst, Queens for 12 years. In this moment, I pay more than 50% what my income is for rent. This does not make it possible for me to sustain my family. We in the city of New York pay one of the highest rents in the nation.
Y también a pesar de estar pagando la renta alta, he vivido abuso de dueños de apartamentos que muchas veces no quieren hacer reparaciones. Como madre de clase trabajadora, siempre ha sido muy difícil para mí encontrar una vivienda asequible.
Aside from paying one of the very high rent, I have suffered abuse from owners and landlords who do not like to make repairs, who are not interested in making repairs. As a working class mother, it's always been difficult to find accessible housing and affordable housing.
Ahora es todavía más difícil en nuestra comunidad porque la renta está muy alta. Ustedes tienen el poder para cambiar esta situación. Nosotros también, no aumento a otros cargos, como por ejemplo cargo de lavadora, cargo de aire acondicionado o aumento por pagar tarde. Por favor, no aumenten más nuestras rentas.
You have the power to change the situation. Sorry. Now, it is even harder to find accessible and affordable rents in our communities when rent is so high. You have the power to change the situation. We also don't want to have higher charges and additional charges, for example, extra charges for laundry or for air conditioner or late fees for paying rent late. Please do not raise our rents anymore.
Disculpen. Esto es mucho más difícil para las familias como yo que viven de un cheque a cheque cada mes y de veras que es muy difícil porque hasta el momento no sabemos si cuando nos mudemos vamos a tener que pagar una renta más alta o de lo contrario movernos a otro estado.
This is harder for families like mine who are living paycheck to paycheck. And at the moment, we don't know what will happen if we have to leave our apartments and we will be forced to pay a higher rent or be forced to move to a different state.
Muchas gracias por todo.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Francelina Guerrero, soy miembro de la organización Se Hace Camino a Nueva York, yo vengo de Queen, Goodside. Mi pregunta es sobre la renta estabilizada, lo cual yo vivo en un estudio. Esta es la segunda vez que paso una mala experiencia. La primera la tuve con mucha amenaza, en el cual vine a la corte y no recibí ayuda, en el cual llamé a la policía y tampoco me dijeron que eso no me podían ayudar ellos porque en ese apartamento era un apartamento propiedad privada y yo no sabía que habían dos tipos, que la propiedad privada es una cosa, como que la ley no presiona, y que cuando uno vive en apartamento de 12 es otra.
Good evening, my name is Francelina Guerrero and I'm a member of the organization Make the Road New York. I'm a community member at Woodside. My question here is about rent-stabilized apartments. I have a case, this is the second time that I have suffered abuse. The first time, I live in a studio apartment. The first time I received threats and I brought it to housing court and nothing came out of it. I also called the police and they said they couldn't do anything about it because it was happening in a private property, and I didn't know that there was a difference between, like, if there's a private property, they are not able to enforce the law or...
Mi pregunta es sobre la renta estabilizada, el porcentaje sobre una renta supuestamente por la renta estabilizada de un estudio de 1.246 a 1.695 a 1.400 a hacer un nuevo contrato por un año. El dueño me dice que es del 3.5% más la presión que me hace cuando no le puedo pagar la renta, porque como dijo la compañera, nuestros sueldos son muy bajos y no le puedo pagar del 1 al 5, me cobra una multa de $50, lo cual yo le mando un money order a New Jersey que tengo que pagar $6. Entonces quería hacerle la pregunta si yo cuando le pago a él la renta, esos $6, si se pueden descontar del pago de la renta o qué hago, porque fuera de eso tampoco él me manda recibo, yo lo pago con cheque, claro.
So my question is about rent-stabilized apartment and the percentage of the raise. For a studio apartment, going for $1,246 to $1,695 in a new contract. He said it was an increase of 3.5%. That together with the pressure that he puts on me to pay rent on time, because like our compañera, our fellow testifier mentioned, we don't make enough in a salary, so we don't have enough to pay rent immediately on time. When I don't pay rent on time, he gives me a $50 late fee, which I have to send additionally, and I have to send him through a money order that costs me $6 to send him to New Jersey. So my question is, can I discount those $6 from the rent? Because he doesn't even give me a receipt, because I pay through checks, of course.
Y con los sueldos que ganamos aquí en Nueva York, como dijo la compañera, para una madre no es fácil pagar una renta tan cara para la luz, para el gas, para el teléfono, para el transporte, para la comida. Entonces, si por favor nos pueden ayudar. Nueva York se ha mantenido con la mano de obra de nosotros, muchos los hispanos que estamos aquí. Por favor, mírenos un poquito. Hemos venido a trabajar, a luchar, pero tampoco para que nos expriman así. Somos justos, que todo sube, que cobren un porcentaje, pero tanto no creo.
Like our fellow testifier mentioned, for mothers like us, it's hard to make enough salary to pay the rent, to pay light, phone, gas, transportation, food. This is a working community. Us Hispanics, we come here to work and we see it and we want to be fair. Of course, there might be some percentage increases here and there, but this is too much. Please look at us. We're not trying to take advantage of anyone.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Francis Herrera.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Marta Morales, soy miembro de Make Row. Yo también soy cabeza de familia. Usted sabe muy bien que todo ha subido. Yo hace 11 años vivo en el estudio y ahora me van a renovar el nuevo lease. Cuando me mandaron el nuevo lease, pagó $1,200 en un estudio. Ahora ella me incrementó la renta a $1,595 por un año. Por 2 años, $1,699.
Hello, my name is Marta Morales. I'm with the organization Make the Road New York. I am the head of my family. I have been in my studio, living in the studio for 11 years. As you know, everything is going up. I had been paying $1,200 in rent for my studio. This year, when I received the new lease, the landlord says that to renew it for 1 year, my rent will go up to $1,595 for 1 year and $1,699 for 2 years.
El problema más grande es porque yo casi no sé hablar mucho el inglés, entonces ellos aprovechan. Ahorita es un nuevo lando y yo le dije yo no soy nueva aquí, eso es para la gente que viene nueva, yo soy una persona ya que tengo 11 años y no se justifica de que ustedes me vayan a subir la renta así tan exorbitadamente. Me dijo, no, dejémoslo así, yo le mando otra vez el nuevo lease. Estoy esperando el nuevo lease a ver con qué ella me va a salir ahora de nuevo. Y es injusto, porque al builder no le han hecho nada en el apartamento donde yo vivo. Pintura, nada. Entonces la renta sí sube, pero arreglos no hay.
The problem is that I don't speak very much English, and so the landlords want to take advantage. Right now, there's a new landlord, and who I received this new lease from, and I was telling her that this is for new tenants, that this is not fair for me. I'm an old tenant. I've been here for a long time. He said, no, let's leave it like that. I'm going to send you a new lease. So I'm waiting now for the new lease to see what they're going to come up with. This is not fair. There's nothing new in the apartment. There's nothing new. There's no new paint. There's nothing that's getting improved, and rent somehow is going up.
Y da pena de ver en la calle tantas familias en los andenes, en la ciudad de Nueva York, en la calle, porque los han sacado y no les da temor de que ver a la gente en la calle, en la intemperie, con su familia, sin a dónde vivir, y todo el mundo, nadie dice nada. Y da pena, sinceramente, que en el estado de Nueva York haya tanta gente en la calle, porque donde en los albergues no hay a dónde meter más gente, niños, familias, yo he visto en Manhattan, en el andén, durmiendo en la intemperie. Y da pena, sinceramente, en el estado de Nueva York que esté pasando esto ahora en estos momentos.
I have seen whole families who have gone homeless. There's no remorse. People are getting pushed out and no one is saying anything. No one is doing anything. There should be shame. This should be shameful. Too many people are on the streets. I've seen kids, entire families sleeping on the sidewalk. There's no room on the shelters. This should be shameful for this to be happening in New York City today.
Porque yo me he dado cuenta que apoyan al landlord y al tenant no le dan prioridad, sino solamente al landlord. Gracias.
I have noticed that you support the landlord, but the tenants don't get enough attention. You just support the landlord. Thank you.
Thank you. Francis Herrera? Is Francis Herrera here?
Gracias por la oportunidad que me dan. Soy Luz Herrera, vivo en el 4707 39 Street, Sunnyside. Estoy aquí porque tengo que dar mi punto de vista. ¿Vas a traducir? Sí.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Luz Herrera, and I live at 4707 39th Street in Sunnyside, and I'm here to give my perspective.
Yo sé que ustedes quieren un aumento, en cada año hay los aumentos, pero yo estoy en desacuerdo porque la calidad de vida que yo vivo es terrible. Mayormente en mi apartamento le he pasado muy mal, porque ha habido agua, cucarachas, ratones, y toda mi mayoría de tiempo que he vivido en este apartamento lo he vivido de esa manera.
I know that you have a rent increase, that each year rents go up, but I disagree because the quality of life that I live is really bad. The apartment that I live in right now, the conditions are really bad. There have been cockroaches, there have been mice, and for as many years I have been living there, the conditions have been like this.
He estado en la corte con el dueño, pero veo que las leyes de corte son muy frágiles, muy pocas para obligar a los dueños a que nos den otra calidad de vida, pero yo lo que veo que mes a mes ellos sí cogen la renta, se les paga puntualmente, pero la calidad de vida nunca mejora, entonces estoy en desacuerdo que ellos pidan aumentos.
I went to the housing court with the owner of my building, but I see that the laws are too weak, too fragile to push the owner to improve our conditions, our living conditions, but they still get the rent month to month.
¿Qué fue lo último? Eso. Cuando he ido al departamento de vivienda a hacer la queja, me encuentro que no soy yo solamente la que tiene esta clase de problemas, son muchos inquilinos que viven de esa misma manera, lo cual lo veo ridículo que uno pague mes a mes y tenga una calidad de vida pésima, o sea, jamás estaría en acuerdo que ellos reciban aumentos. Entonces sí, las personas que están respaldando a los inquilinos deberían primero investigar cómo se vive en Nueva York, cómo se viven los inquilinos, para luego ellos pedir o que los dueños vengan y aparezcan aquí a pedir un aumento.
I've noticed a lot of people complaining. It's not just me. When I went to the housing court, there were many people in the same situation, and I find that ridiculous. So I am not in agreement and do not support a rent increase for landlords. For people supporting landlords, they should come and do research and find out what the living conditions of the tenants in New York City are like before they support the rent increase for landlords.
Eso es todo. Gracias a ustedes por permitirme exponer mi problema y el problema de mucha gente aquí en Nueva York. Gracias.
That's all. Thank you for allowing me to expose my problem and the problem of many people here in New York City. Thank you.
Thank you.